The objective of the organization, We the World, is to facilitate cooperation on a global scale amongst groups and individuals dedicated to implementing solutions to the many challenges we face on the planet at this time.
Welcome to the 11 Days of Global Unity Summit 2023. My name is Jana Larson, and I am coordinator of the Economic Justice Campaign for We the World, as well as filling many other roles for We the World. Today, I am excited that we will be joined by Keisha Acton and ShaRon Rea, who will be talking about human rights. For the full 11 days schedule, you can register for free by going to we.net. Then you can participate in the after panel public discussions and see replays of the recordings. There, you can also make a contribution to support We the World by going to we.net. Thank you. Now let's bring on my co-host, Rick Ulfik. Rick Ulfik is the founder of We the World at we.net and the co-founder of 11 Days of Global Unity. Welcome to the broadcast for 11 days, Rick Ulfik.
Thank you, Jana. And thank you all so much for joining us for this powerful discussion of human rights at our 11 Days of Global Unity Summit. To take action with the 11 campaigns for change, Trends magazine, and all the work of We the World, please go to we.net.
And now it is my pleasure to introduce Keisha Acton. Keisha is a Black queer femme and is one of the 4 co-founders and a lead organizer with Black Lives Matter Phoenix Metro.
And Keisha Acton will be joined by our dear friend and colleague, ShaRon Rea. ShaRon Rea is founder of the No Judgment, Just Love global movement. And she is a life, family, executive coach, and peacemaker. Welcome to the broadcast, Keisha Acton and ShaRon Rea. So Keisha.
Thank you, Rick.
Sure. Keisha, we are seeing so many lives destroyed through gun violence, mass incarceration, the school to prison pipeline, and other forms of denial of civil rights and civil liberties. At the same time, grassroots movements and organizations are working together to address such issues through innovative and courageous programs like restorative justice. Can you share about the work that you're doing? What are you passionate about that relates to this work? Thank you.
Hello. Yes, thank you so much for that introduction. As you said, my name is Keisha, and I am co-director with BLM Phoenix Metro. We are a Black femme-led organization, and we focus on, sorry about the noise in the background, I have a toddler. We focus on police brutality, and that we started in 2017 as just a small group of people who were dealing with situations here in our city in Tempe, Arizona, where multiple teens had been shot and killed by the police, and calling for justice for those individuals. So it started with just our group started with advocating for one family, which led to us growing into an organization where we realized that the work was more than the advocacy of one family, that we needed to do this work on a larger scale in order and address the systemic root issues of what was happening in our communities, which is the over-policing of young people, the over-policing of people in general, and really wanting to do our part to help change those systems and create a stronger social safety net here in our own communities. So I got started with BLM Phoenix Metro in 2020 in the heart of the uprising of George Floyd, and I've been organizing with them ever since. We are, and so one of the things that that really is the heart of our work is a focus on mass incarceration and how it affects our youth. And, you know, mass incarceration, we are here in the United States, we lock up more people per capita than any other nation in the world. We have about 1.9 million people who are incarcerated nationwide. And of those 1.9 million people, our youth are being targeted at some of the highest rates. And so here, BLM Phoenix Metro, we were able to get involved in this work through a pilot project in Tempe, Arizona, where I actually sat in a couple of city meetings. There was a police task force that we were a part of. We've done we participated in the budget work for 2022, trying to reinvest resources from the city into social services such as mental health, housing, education, and so on and so forth. And through that work, we were able to get the city to agree to allowing us to create an alternative to police pilot project, which is where this work was born out of. So we are doing the Free the Youth program. It's a restorative justice centered, restorative justice centered deferment program, which pre-court deferment program, which is basically oftentimes these programs are post-court. So if a youth person is arrested, they have to go through the process of going to court and then determine whether or not they're eligible for this program. So what we're doing is we're creating a program that is really helping to address the issues of our youth being overly incarcerated and helping to address some of their root cause issues through this work by addressing if someone gets in trouble and they get arrested, right? Our goal is to bring them into our program and really work to understand what the root cause of whatever their issue was, and meet their material needs first, to figure out if there's something going on at home, figure out if there's, a lack of resources that they're missing that led to this behavior, and then addressing those issues through our program. And our program will be centered in restorative justice, which is a model that is kind of going it started in the 90s, but it's become more popular recently with community organizations such as ourselves. And so we have been working with Impact Justice, who is a national organization that helps groups like BLM Phoenix Metro create restorative justice centered programs in their communities. And so that's kind of what we're doing, where we're at. And really, my passion for this work started because I personally have been affected by the mass incarceration of youth as well. And then that spiraled into my early days. And it's taken and the impact that that has had on my life was pretty significant, and the amount of things I had to go through to really just get myself to a point where I could actually thrive in our society again was really difficult, because there are no resources available. Once you've been in trouble by the system, there are, to reintegrate yourself into society, it's almost next to impossible. And so recidivism rates are really high because of that. And people oftentimes reoffend because there sometimes seems like there's no other option than to just go back to maybe what you were doing previously. And that continues a cycle of incarceration that that is a systemic issue because there are no resources. And so for me, it's a very personal passion. It's a very personal issue to me, because it's something that has directly affected my life. So I've been, yeah, like I said, doing this work from as like a passion project, and really trying to do what I can to ensure that people don't have to go through and experience some of those same issues that I went through. So really trying to create that social safety net here in my community, so that people have a chance to thrive and get out of the situations that they may be in. So that's kind of how that started for me. Are there any questions?
Well,
Wow.
yeah,
Go ahead, Rick.
No,
No,
I was just going to say it's very important. This work that you are doing is so important, and I can see why you're passionate about it. And the question of the resources is a big question. Like, how can a community come up with those resources? What do you think?
Well, what I know, Keisha, can you speak a little bit about the collaboration between other states that have these programs up?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2020, like I mentioned, or sorry, not 2020, 2022, like I mentioned, we were tasked, I guess you could say, with this pilot project. And one of the things that we did to really get our footing, make sure that we understand what's already out there and who's doing it well already, is we started doing research and figuring out what other cities have done something similar, if any. And we found that some really good programs were built in Oakland. So me and my team, we flew to Oakland. We met with a lot of the local leaders there who were doing this work. And we got to connect with them, participate in some of their programs, and really just see the success that program is having with restorative justice, and how many people have been able to successfully complete the program, and not just complete the program, but also become an integral part of the community who's doing this work to end mass incarceration. Because and so with that, and then we also took another trip to Seattle. There's a really great program, RCP program in Seattle, that is kind of the model that we're trying to replicate here in Phoenix. And in doing those trips, like I said, we got connected with Impact Justice, which is like a technical organization that helps smaller organizations like us be able to bring something like this into fruition. We are one of the first organizations to try and build a program like this in a red state. So as you can imagine, that it's been a little bit more difficult to really to implement some of the things that that this program requires to be successful. But we are diligent, we are passionate, we are committed to doing this work. And so we are not allowing those roadblocks to stop us. And the fact that we have support from a national org to do this. It really helps us to stay centered in our mission, stay centered in our goals, and continue to push forward through the obstacles.
Okay, so what I heard was so valuable, what you said, Keisha, and completely aligns with We the World, which is it takes us all. We are community, and collaboration is key, and reaching out to other states and staying centered and undaunted by whatever roadblocks are there, because under the heading of human rights, everyone has a right to be human, even if they mess up. And that shouldn't stop us as a world and a country from giving them an opportunity and recognizing what you've just said, which is once you get in the system, you are system oriented to the detriment. And what I heard was your program is allowing youth, please hear that word, youth, our future, to redirect them to a place that can serve them well, and as a result serve our country well.
Exactly. And that's really our mission, right? Because at some point we have to pass the torch to the younger generation. And if the younger generation is incarcerated and lacks education and is caught in a system of systemic violence and oppression, then what does our future actually consist of, right? And so as we do this work, we really stay centered in that goal, centered in that understanding of, if we can teach our youth how to not only overcome their circumstances, but to stand strong in the face of oppression and continue to rise above the circumstances that they have been faced with, and offer them resources to do so, then we are building a stronger future. And so that really is what our the center of our mission.
Beautiful, beautiful. So thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing and truly being undaunted. Just full disclosure, Keisha's town, Tempe, is about 30 minutes from my town, Scottsdale, here in Arizona. And so what affects them affects me completely close, obviously affecting the world in general. But I feel so grateful that Black Lives Matter is doing this to the extent that they are. And so may I talk a little bit about why I'm so passionate in connecting with them and partnering with them?
Yes, thank you so much, Keisha. Why don't you? Well,
Can I just
go
add
ahead.
one quick
No, go
thing
ahead.
before we move on?
Yeah.
I think it's important to note, right? Like Black Lives Matter, nationally, globally, has developed a name for itself. And regardless of which side of that coin you fall on, whether you're for us or against us or unsure about who we are as an organization or what we do, one thing I want to mention is and just help to like clear up maybe is, right, like it's not about being against. I think there's a misconception about our work to end there's the defund campaign has been out there, right? Abolish the police has been out there. There's a lot of campaigns out there that are very controversial. And I think there's a misconception that we are completely against individual police or individual and just want to do away with police and allow people to run rampant and do whatever they please without any consequences. And I feel that's a huge misconception, because it's not that our goal is not to have a lack of accountability when harm happens in our society. Our goal is to transform what accountability looks like. We know for sure that prisons are not the answer. Locking people away in a prison and throwing away the key without addressing any of their root cause issues, right? Which typically everybody in today's world has trauma. We live in a world where trauma is kind of what you inherit when you're born into this world, unfortunately. And so the more that we can address root cause issues like poverty, like homelessness, like drug addiction, like abuse, right? If we can address those things at the root, offer people services and resources to heal, then the need for policing will shift and look different. And that is what we're trying to do, because we've tried reform, right? Reform has been something that many organizations have been working towards for many, many years now. And it's not working. We asked for, here in Arizona, we asked for body cameras, right? And that is a reform. We got body cameras. Now, all we do is we watch our people getting murdered on camera, right? Hasn't actually decreased the amount of killings that happen in the line of duty, right? But, and so with that being said, we are not, what we're looking to do is create something new to replace what's not working, not completely take away accountability or systems of service that can help to protect and keep the community safe. We want the same thing. We want to keep our people safe, right? And we want to do that through a less harmful method. And so hoping to get that message across, but I wanted to just throw that in there before we moved on.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you, Keisha.
So glad, Keisha. I'm sorry, Rick. Go ahead.
Yes. So, ShaRon,
I just want to underscore, Keisha, I'm glad you interrupted me, and I'm glad she said that, because one of Rick and my sort of pet peeves is media, and the way media illuminates things is not always to the benefit and the core passion and compassion that each issue has. So for you to be able to have this opportunity to speak to the We the World global community and share that shift that you want to do and are doing, and not just you, but in collaboration with other cities and understanding they're being successful. So we often get confused that nothing's happening good in the world. And you are the absolute opposite to that. And I know we thank you.
Thank you. And ShaRon, I just want to let people know a little bit about what you've been doing. You've been working directly with people, counseling families, working in prisons, and expanding a culture of connection and unity through your program and practice called No Judgment, Just Love. Can you say a few words about what you're doing that relates to this?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Rick, for this time. And hi, I'm ShaRon Rea, and exactly what Rick said, my passion in the world is to help people, first of all, understand, love, and treat themselves well, because you cannot give what you don't have. And so in my work of coaching, counseling, therapy with families, parents raising teens, parents that have young people incarcerated, parents incarcerated themselves, divorce, grandfathers, fathers, uncles, anyone in the family. That's why my company is called The Whole Family. And from that perspective of 12 years working with hundreds and hundreds of families, I got exposed gratefully to Perryville Women's Prison here in Arizona, and realized just because it's innately who I am, I see people's magnificence. I don't see what the world has put upon them. Even though I walked into a room of 23 women in their orange suits, it was Halloween time. And all I saw was, oh, cool costumes. They're dressed up and they're happy, and they were just so welcoming to me. Most people wouldn't see that. And so from that, I was creating a family reentry program for them that was grounded in the movement of No Judgment, Just Love. Sorry, my hand is on the table, so my thing is shaking. And it was so well received. Right after the first day, these women just Their self-esteem exploded. They were kinder to each other in the yard. It just showed me that when you pour in just a little bit of compassion, understanding, and less judgment into anyone, they can transform. And so I am now creating one to complement what Keisha spoke about with the juveniles. We have to remember that, or even learn, that our brains develop over time. As a baby, your brain is not fully developed. And as a young person, your brain is not fully developed at 16, 15, 18, not even until 23 and 28. And so, as Keisha said, when you repeat certain behaviors, when situations are constantly in front of you, your brain connects and says, oh, this is our life. Oh, this is what we are. And so that recidivism happens not only because there's not a lot of hope and it's a difficult transition, but your brain has literally programmed you to be comfortable doing that thing that got you in trouble in the first place. And so knowing that, and now creating this program called Welcome Home to Family, I'm working in complement to the juveniles with their support system. The adult family members, and family does not have to be blood. It can be an aunt, it can be a clergy, it can be a police officer. I'm working with them to help in two areas that are in crisis in our country, and that is with your mental and emotional health. And so to give these support family members for these wonderful juveniles who I see as magnificent, even though they're caught up in something, in a number of areas. It's a 6-week program, 2 hours a week, with activities to do at home, because I just don't want to give information. I want this to resonate and have lives changed and evolved and transformed with this. So we start with where we start, self-care, understanding yourself before you can look out and help your team. Conscious, compassionate conversations, taking into account what has happened to them, your role, not with judgment, but awareness. Healthy boundaries. Often we don't have healthy boundaries as parents, as aunts. We just do more for the other person without the recognition that we matter as well. Some basic and advanced parenting and co-parenting skills to help you reframe your safe space for them in a way that not only keeps them safe so they can transition back into society, but also to retrain their brain to a new way of living. And then patience. And we start conversations about forgiveness, because that's part of a component of a healthy mental and emotional state. So where we are right now is looking for participants to be in our pilot program. I've had this work with women in prison, incarcerated, so I want to see how it works with the support group around juveniles. So if you're interested, please do contact me on my email or through We the World. Just connect with them, they'll find me. I'm around, but my email is ShaRonReaz for Arizona @gmail. Thank you.
That sounds good, ShaRon. And why don't we think about a call to action? I'm just going to bring in other folks, and we can be part of this dialogue. So my question is, what are you calling for? Let's go back to Keisha, and then we can all answer it. But Keisha, what are you calling for, and how would each of you like to have people take action?
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you, ShaRon, for sharing the work that you're doing. Super excited that we are collaborating and excited to collaborate more and learn more about also what you do. And you made me remember, I didn't mention what our program focuses, the age group that our program is focusing on, which is actually kids 10 to 25 because of that, of the reason that you mentioned, right? Like our brains are not fully developed until age 25. So we're trying to increase the age at which the state sees people as young, as youth. So thank you for reminding me to say that. With that being said, a call to action, I think I have two call to actions. And the first one would be to really just educate yourself. Don't allow the media to be your only source of education for these types of issues, because as ShaRon mentioned earlier, you don't get the full picture there. You don't get the full story. And oftentimes that information you're receiving from the media is biased to one way or another, right? And so educate yourself. Read. There's a couple books that have been instrumental to my work, to my growth and my experience. One of them being The New Jim Crow, which is a really great book that talks about mass incarceration and really breaks down the systemic issues behind incarceration and really where it all started. And then the second one is We Do This Till We Free Us. It's a book about really outlining some of the challenges that we face and helping to instill hope in the work that we're doing, because hope is a discipline, right? Hope is not something that you wake up with every day. It's something that you have to practice having, because in the face of adversity, sometimes it's easy to lose hope that change is possible. And so this is a really inspiring book that talks about community and how to really stick together and push through the hard times. The second call to action would be to just connect with your local orgs, get involved, find the organizations that are doing this work, and figure out how you can be of service to that mission and to that work, because each of us needs all of us, and we can't do it alone. And so the more people we have working towards a common goal, the quicker we can get there. So that would be my call to action.
That sounds good. And ShaRon, did you want to emphasize, I think you had a couple of calls to action, but just to like some.
Yes, my first call to action is all of my calls to action are under the space of no judgment, just love. And what that means is, well, of course we judge. We judge all the time, inside our head about ourselves and outside when we look about just about everybody else. And so my first call to action would be to do what the airlines say. Put your own oxygen mask on first and listen to the little voice inside your head that's judging you harshly, because you're with you 24/7. Try to quiet that voice, listen to the parts that you need, and silence and quiet the parts that are just bashing you. And then when you look out at the world, to all of us, pause after you make your wonderful judgments, which I do often. Pause before you speak, before you act, before you treat someone as less than human and that they don't have any value, especially under this campaign of human rights. We all deserve to be what our founding fathers said, to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you.
Thank you. Jana, did you want to add something before we wrap it all up?
It's just amazing. I'm just so grateful to be here and to be able to work with such wonderful people. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So, well, this has been a really truly inspiring discussion, and thank you for being part of the 11 Days of Global Unity Summit. So, as we like to say, this is all about we. So let's go from a me society to a we society, right? That's why we launched we.net. So together we can create a world that works for all.
Thank you, Rick. And thank you, Keisha Acton and ShaRon Rea. And thank you all for watching this and for being a part of 11 Days of Global Unity. Go to we.net to get involved. And don't forget to stick around for the public discussion right after this panel. Much love to you all. Goodbye.
Thank you.